Chapter 40. Previously Hinata sat on the ground taking deep breaths and trying to fight off unconsciousness when she saw a blonde blur. She smiled knowing very well who that blur was. It was her knight in shining armor. Well, not shining per se, but it was close enough. Naruto-kun, Hinata said, closing her eyes and embracing unconsciousness. Now. Naruto almost stumbled as he got to the medical stations. Even to his trained blue eyes, the surroundings were nothing but a blur as he was racing towards the site of the explosion. The others tried their best to catch to him, but only the dragons and Mei could keep up with him, and even then they were strained to do so. Naruto arrived at the medical stations and saw nothing but fire. The medical tents were decimated and only a large crater and fire could be seen. Naruto's heart was racing as he scanned his surroundings trying to find Hinata. Naruto knew she was here and most likely got caught in the blast. Hinata, Naruto yelled but got no reply. He looked around trying to find any sign of life. Kid Kurama called out from inside his mind, I can sense her, a few meters to the east. She's not alone, Kurama said, and Naruto disappeared again. Naruto arrived at the location Kurama had said and found Hinata leaning against a rock. She was unconscious, that Naruto could see from far away. In a flash, Naruto was by her side and just in time to block an array of shurikens that were coming for her. Naruto blocked all of the shuriken and looked towards they came from, only to notice a shinobi shunshin away. It was only a glimpse, but Naruto could see that she was female and she was that medic, now, he had saved from when he infiltrated the strongholds. Naruto took Hinata in his arms and gently laid her on the ground. Naruto bent down, placing his head on her chest to sigh in relief when he heard a strong heartbeat. His eyes were flashing red with black slits as he unintentionally pulled Kurama's power. He was pissed, all right. In a flash of hand seals and a poof of smoke, Kagura was on the human realm. You summoned Naruto? Kagura asked but didn't wait for a reply when he saw the devastation around her and Naruto's mate on the ground. Kagura's tails immediately started glowing and scanning Hinata's body. She's lucky to have survived this blast, Kagura said, but Naruto didn't reply. He just looked at Hinata. She has a few broken ribs, internal bleeding and a concussion, most likely from the explosion and getting blasted towards this rock, Kagura explained, and Naruto nodded, his eyes flashing silver. Naraka Path, Naruto said, and the King of Hell appeared just a few inches away from him. The King of Hell's mouth glowed green as he sent a small beam of energy into Hinata's body. It only took a few seconds, Hinata's breathing stabilized and her scorched skin disappeared to her normal flawless skin. Naruto smiled as he noticed that she looked better and peaceful in her sleep. Then he remembered what happened here. His anger was rising as he quickly knew that happened here. Yagura had sent some of his shinobi to take out the medical camps. It was a low move, but this was war, where any opportunity is to be taken. Yagura had destroyed the medical tents. Tents filled with sick and weak people, filled with doctors and nurses who had nothing to do with this war and only wanted to help save the few they could. People who had dedicated their lives into helping other people didn't deserve such fate. The place where the love of his life was working. He hurt his mate and he was going to pay for everything he had done. Naruto was thinking on these lines as he was finishing restoring Hinata's body when the rest of the dragons, Mei, Chojuro and Ao arrived. Mei looked sadly at the devastation and shook her head at the lengths Yagura would go to win this war. He would target a hospital filled with sick people only to get an edge on this pathetic and pointless war. Those who prey on the weak and helpless have no place in this world, Naruto said, and Mei took a step back when she heard the tone and felt the malice behind his voice. She looked at him and noticed the purple dragon unconscious on the ground. The mask was gone and was replaced with the beautiful face of Hyuga Hinata. Even Mei had to admit she was a goddess in human form. Mei smiled at the fondness and love that Naruto had of her, but quickly forgot that when she felt his anger. That can't be good, Red, Kushina thought, looking at her son with worry. That deep and cold voice made her shiver as if a ghost had just walked by. Those ants dared to try and kill my Hinata, Naruto said darkly, and all of the dragons were looking at him with weary faces. Naruto was always an easygoing guy, friendly and highly protective of everyone he cared about. Naruto tended to avoid confrontations when he could. Although there was one golden rule, don't hurt anyone he cares for, much less Hinata. The dragons knew they had no chance of defeating Naruto, much less when he was pissed and fighting for real. I'll slaughter them, Naruto roared in absolute rage, with his chakra levels rapidly escalating. Mei looked alarmed and scared as she never saw Naruto in such state. She never saw him pissed and angry, and, judging by the levels of his chakra output, he was beyond pissed. She was sweating and Naruto wasn't even mad at her. Naruto, calm down Yellow, Minato said, trying to calm his son down. Minato flinched and took a step back when Naruto turned and faced him, locking eyes with him. His Manjikyu Sharingan was glowing and the aura he was releasing was so powerful and strong that the ground was cracking from the pressure. They dared to hurt my mate, Naruto said, chuckling to himself. Ao was gulping and taking a few steps away from that monster. Chojuro was shaking like a wild leaf. I will show them my power, the power of Senju Naruto. I'm going to show them what happens when you anger a god, Naruto said in dark voice, and in a flash of yellow he was gone. It took them all a few minutes to recover from what happened. What the hell happened to him? Mei asked, gulping as her breathing returned to normal. She was drop dead scared of Naruto right about now. She never knew he could be so cold and intimidating. Everyone has darkness, and that is what happens when you hurt Hinata. Red, Kushina said as she bended over and picked up Hinata in her arms. Kushina was no medic, but even she could see that Hinata was back to perfect health. He got so angry. I've never seen something like that, Mei said, shivering. Naruto is highly protective of his girlfriend, Yellow stated. Don't you think that's a bit excessive? He managed to heal her back to full health, Mei explained, confused. Naruto's reaction was excessive. I understand why you would say something like that, and before I explain let me ask you something. Red, Kushina began. What do you know of Senju Naruto? What do you think he is? Red asked Mei, who got into a thinking position. Senju Naruto, S-rank shinobi of Konoha, grandson of the Godame Hokage, Senju Tsunade, and the head of the Senju clan, Mei explained, and Kushina nodded, seeing that was the information contained in the bingo book. How do you think his life was growing up in the leaf was? Red asked, and Mei was startled by such question, but answered nonetheless. Like any other heir to a clan, I suppose. He was most likely treated like a king or royalty, even more for him being the heir of the Senju clan, one of the founding clans of Konoha and said to be the strongest of all, Mei explained, and Kushina gave a hollowed chuckle. What if I told you that until 3 years ago Naruto was known as the demon brat? Kushina stated, and Mei's eyes widened since she understood that reference. Naruto's parents died a few minutes just after he was born. The Yondaime gave his life to seal the QB in him, making him a Jinchuriki. His life growing up was a nightmare and a hell. An orphan kid who was an outcast by the villagers, he was beaten and chased by them for being a demon, Kushina stated in a sad voice. He was a lonely boy without any friends, mistreated by the whole village, expelled from the orphanage when he was only 4 years old. Forced to live in the wild for months until the Sandaime found him and gave him a house. But the house did nothing to appease his lonely heart, Kushina said, almost sobbing, until Yellow placed a hand over her shoulder to give her some comfort. How is he even sane? Mei asked in a low voice. She never knew that there was such past behind the cheerful attitude of Naruto. That is where Hyuga Hinata comes in, Kushina started in a livelier voice. She comes from the Hyuga clan, where her father deemed her too weak to be the heiress of such honored clan. She was disowned and expelled from the clan by her own father when she had only 8 years. She, like Naruto, was thrown away like garbage and forced to live on the streets, Kushina said. Luckily for both of them, they found each other, Red said, smiling. They lived on the same roof ever since then. They lived and trained to prove to others and each other that they aren't weak or demons. Eventually love grew between them. Hinata was and is the anchor for Naruto. I fear to what lengths Naruto would go if something ever happened to her, Kushina said as Mei took him in a new light. So do you understand why Naruto's reaction was this extreme? From the moment he was born he had nothing. He finally gained something and he would die to protect it, Kushina explained, and Mei nodded knowingly. I've never experienced anything like that, so I can only imagine, Mei stated until she remembered what Naruto had said. We have to stop him. He's going after Yagura, isn't he? Mei asked, and every dragon nodded. He's going to kill himself. According to Han, Yagura mobilized the remaining of his army, the village. There still are around 2,000 shinobi and Yagura himself, Mei said in a panic, getting ready to leave. In the last few days she grew friendly with Naruto. No, Blue said in his monotone voice, placing a hand on her shoulder. It's better we stay out of the way unless we want to get caught in the crossfire, Blue said, but Mei wouldn't budge. Are you insane? Mei said no one can face 2,000 shinobi alone and win, much less an army with their leader having full control over his bijou, Mei retorted. You no idea the extension of his power, Blue said, shocking Mei by his blind faith on his leader. By tomorrow, Karagakure will be ours, Blue said, and left Mei stunned in place. So we are just going to stand here and watch? Mei asked in a low voice. Unless you want to sacrifice your men, then, yes, Blue said. We are moving close to the village once Naruto begins his attack, Blue explained, and Yellow nodded, flashing everyone to nearby the gates of Karagakure. And why, God, Mei stuttered, looking at the village. Hashtag Mizuki's Tower Underground Facility Hashtag. You fool, a voice echoed through the whole room. The room itself was very large and had many supporting pillars to keep it from collapsing. From the stone color, anyone could clearly tell that this room was deep underground. At the end of the room were two large metal doors that would most likely lead to another area. Back to the two people that were arguing. The person that yelled was standing and pacing around the room, pissed by his subordinate. He was wearing a high-collared black cloak with red clouds emblazoned in it. He had black spiky hair and was wearing an orange mask with a swirling pattern. He was Tobi, or Uchiha Fugaku, for those few that knew him. The other person was kneeling in front of him, bowing her head in shame. She had long dark black hair that reached her waist with a small bang coming down her forehead and touching her nose. She was wearing black long-sleeved gloves that reached her elbows. She had a light black, high-collared jacket with mesh shirt underneath and black shorts. She was now Uchiha and was kneeling after a failed mission. /N, check profile for now's image. It was surprisingly hard to find a decent female Uchiha. You were told not to reveal yourself and yet you did, Tobi yelled, making now cringe from the sound, and for what? Tobi rhetorically asked, so you could show the world that there is one more Uchiha alive and nearly getting killed in the process, Tobi roared. Flashback, Dai now yelled and Hinata crouched on the ground and started spinning. All of the explosive tags started sizzling, getting ready to detonate. Now saw Hinata crouching, knowing very well that she was trying to pull a Kaiten to survive the blast. Now closed her eyes and relaxed. The moment she heard one of the tags go off, she focused and channeled chakra into her left eye. She opened her left eyes, and it proudly displayed her Sharingan glowing in all its power. So the outcome comes to this, Izanagi now whispered as her Sharingan glowed and the medical tents exploded in flames. Now shimmered out of existence only to reappear a few yards away, crouching on the ground, taking deep breaths. She had sacrificed her left eye to survive the blast and, while her body was new once again, her chakra reserves were almost depleted. There she is now, said, chuckling to herself as she found Hinata fighting off unconsciousness near a rock. Now picked up the remaining shurikens she had and hurled them towards the defenseless Hinata. Now smiled as the kunais made their way towards Hinata only to be blocked by Naruto. Damn it, now said, and focused her chakra shining away. Now had barely came out on top of that fight and had to sacrifice an eye to survive. She could never take on Naruto at this point, and flashback. My deepest apologies, Tobi now said, but a glare from Tobi set her straight. Fugaku-sama now quickly corrected herself not to disrespect her leader. It was a simple demolition mission which requires stealth and finesse to achieve the goal. Clearly I chose the wrong person to do it. I would have thought that as the second in command for the Uchiha clan you would have more caution, Fugaku stated, looking at her, all the while now kept her head down. She wanted to say no when Fugaku gave her this mission. Now didn't feel right killing injured people. Now was a warrior of the Uchiha clan and she felt that every life she took it had to be in combat with her winning, but she was an Uchiha and her loyalty was to her leader. And now look at you blew the mission so you could fight a Hyuga, Fugaku said, shaking his head, and you lost. The only reason you would have won was because she got injured in the explosion and you sacrificed an eye, Fugaku said, sighing. How was I supposed to know that I was fighting Hyuga Hinata, and once the fight started I couldn't leave her alive, now replied, looking at Fugaku. Her right eye was the normal black, but her left one was completely different. It was now a hollowed white, meaning it was a dead, blind eye. A sacrifice for using the Uchiha's Kinjutsu and changing reality. And look how good that went, Fugaku sarcastically replied. You lost an eye and yet, the Hyuga still lives, Fugaku countered and now bit her lip. With your sister dead, you possess the only eternal in the whole clan, as only a few others have the Manjikyu, Fugaku said and now looked down sadly. The funny thing about an Uchiha is that they can't live without their eyes. If you remove them, the Uchiha dies shortly. And that happened to Nao's sister, as Nao's eyes didn't accept her sister. When they found out, it was too late. You know that you can have Nagato heal me with his Rinnegan, now tried to counter, but Fugaku was adamant in making sure she understood her mistake. Nagato is dying. The Rinnegan is too powerful for his body. Every time he uses it, his body grows weaker and weaker. He won't last much longer, Fugaku sadly said. The Rinnegan isn't some ordinary jujitsu. Even with the Uzumaki vitality, those eyes are too powerful for him to wield, Fugaku stated, releasing a deep breath. There isn't many people who could even think of wielding such jujitsu without any drawbacks. Only someone who has both Uchiha and Senju blood can wield it to their full power, Fugaku explained. If you place those eyes on any Uchiha, they would die the moment they use them. Due to their bodies, the Senju and Uzumaki can wield them, but that is only partially and temporarily, until their body succumbs. And there aren't that many Senjus left around. Fugaku said and now sighed. You could use them without any drawbacks as Madara-sama gave you Senju DNA to strengthen your body now stated getting a tick mark from Fugaku. Nagato still has plenty of uses. I'll have him restore your eyesight. The Akatsuki is beginning to make their move and soon the Uchiha clan will rule the world Fugaku stated and now got up to leave when a new figure entered the room. The figure wore dark blue pants with a blue cloth hanging from halfway up his stomach to his knees. He also wore black arm guards that covered his forearms and stretched up to reach his upper biceps. He also wore a purple rope belt around his waist, tied in a bow, in which he carries his sword. He was Uchiha Sasuke. So Hinata kicked your ass, Sasuke mockingly said with his Sharingan glowing. HN now replied walking past him but not without giving her reply. If I remember correctly you lost to the dead last of the academy several times now retorted smirking while Sasuke scowled. He was about to comment when a massive earthquake was felt. Fugaku, Sasuke and now stumbled as they tried to keep their ground. A few specks of dust fell from the ceiling due to the size of the earthquake. This chakra now said with her eyes widening, who could possess such presence? Now fearfully asked. Fugaku was also curious about this massive chakra signature that he suddenly felt within the village. Fugaku focused as he felt his chakra and cursed his luck. That would be the pissed off Senju whose girlfriend you tried to kill a few minutes ago, Fugaku stated. So the dope shows himself, Sasuke said and was about to leave and go fight him when Fugaku grabbed him by the arm. He's on a different level than you, patient Sasuke, Fugaku said and Sasuke unwillingly agreed, leaving the room. Looks like my pet's hour has come to an end. I can't reveal the Uchihas just yet, Fugaku thought to himself, making his way to the roof to observe just how much Naruto had grown. He was such an obedient pet, such shame, Fugaku sadly thought. Gather the clan, Fugaku said towards Now, who nodded. We are moving out of Kirigakure, Fugaku said as he left the room. Hashtag few minutes earlier, Kirigakure's main gates, hashtag. It was a calm and silent night in the village of Kirigakure. At least that is what it appeared to be, because if you looked deeper, you could feel a tense atmosphere with several shinobi running around. After all, they were at war and Yagura had mobilized the remaining army to defend the village against the next assault, which would be in the next few days. It was a full moon and a cloudless night. The moon was shining high in the sky, illuminating the whole village. The shinobi were running around like headless chickens. They had so much to do and so little time. Guards were posted at the gates and walls to check for any sign of an attack. Armories and blacksmiths were working non-stop to produce weapons and armor for the shinobi to use. Man. I hope those monsters attack soon so that Yagura-sama can wipe them out and get this over with, one of the guards stated to his companion, who seemed bored as well. Apparently no one liked doing guard duty. After all, you just sit there looking out for threats and stamp papers all day. Couldn't agree more, the other guard replied, yawning. The guard stretched and opened his eyes, getting up, when he saw a small flare on the distance. What is that? The guard asked, looking at the distance. There was a small flare on the distance. It looked like a small campfire or something similar. What? The other guard asked as his companion's eyes widened. That, the guard yelled, as he jumped off, when the small beacon on the distance was quickly approaching. The other guard didn't even have time to blink as the small beacon became a gigantic wall of white-hot flames. The walls and gates were engulfed by the flames with such intensity that even rocks started melting. Raise the allard, the surviving guard yelled, but that was cut off by a sword through his chest. The last thing the guard saw was a pair of deep blood-red eyes. I'll show them the despair the Bloodlines users felt, Naruto said as he blurred towards the village with his sword at hand. Naruto was running through the village when the shinobi started gathering up in front of him. In just a few seconds, the whole army was standing in front of him with Naruto looking at them impassively, his yellow hair flowing in the wind. Truly amazing, Yagura said as he watched the battle from the top of the Mizukage's tower. 2,000 shinobi stand in front of you and you don't even blink, Yagura said, astonished. When I'm done with them, Naruto said, pointing his sword towards the army. I'm coming for your head, Yagura, Naruto stated, and the army started laughing. Do you really think you can get past us? One of the shinobi said, while other laughed. I'm not getting past you. When I'm done slaughtering every one of you, I'll be going for Yagura, Naruto stated, and the shinobi quickly shut up. Let me show you the power of a god, Naruto stated, and began unleashing his silver chakra that seemed to complement the moon in the sky. His hair began to flap wildly, and the ground began to crack as his aura skyrocketed. The shinobi army decided that enough was enough and rushed Naruto. Suddenly the whole village felt his chakra and anger and buckled to his power. A few shinobi stumbled as they ran once they felt his true power. They were gasping for air and dropping to their knees as Naruto unleashed his chakra. Katan Gokamikyaku, Great Fire Annihilation, Naruto said, forming the horse hand seal and pumping his lungs with chakra. A colossal wall of flames erupted from his mouth and rocketed towards the shinobi army, scorching the ground and destroying everything in its path. The shinobi army's eyes widened at the sheer magnitude of the jutsu. Water users quickly rushed to the front lines to try and mount some kind of defense. Suetun Suijin Hiki, water wall. Dozens of shinobi shouted, releasing water from their mouths to stop the onslaught of the flames. The water collided with a fire, and it was enough to stop it in its tracks. Once the clash was over, a big steam cloud washed over the battlefield from the jutsu clash. Naruto smiled as his sword sparkled with electricity, and he rushed head-on against an army of 2,000. There was no other word for it unless slaughter. These weak shinobi posed no threat against Naruto. Naruto ducked under one punch and kicked another shinobi, blasting him away from the power of the strike. Left and right, shinobi were getting tossed aside like ragdolls. There was no stopping him. They could barely track Naruto, and once they got close to him it would be over. The fact that it was night coupled with the steam cloud made it worse for the shinobi, who were dropping like flies. Futon de Tapa, Great Breakthrough, a shinobi shouted and sent a gust of wind that sent Naruto flying back, but he quickly flipped mid-air and landed gracefully on the ground. Naruto's eyes glowed as he made a single tiger hand seal. Enten Gokamikyaku, Inferno-style, Great Fire Annihilation, Naruto said, and instead of the usual white-hot flames, pitch-black ones came from his mouth. But, unlike the other ones, there was no stopping this attack. Blocking this attack wasn't an option, as the army soon discovered when the black wave clashed with a water shield and easily evaporated it. Black flames spread through the battlefield, decimating a chunk of the army as the other scrambled. The army watched in fear as the black flames descended upon them. They ran out of the way, but a small contact and it was all over. They screamed and rolled on the ground, trying to put out the black flames. Once the unlucky ones had been dealt with, the army retook their positions, all the while watching the black flames burning on the side. Now they understood who they angered and who they were facing. The heated air went to the sky and started forming clouds, and rain started to fall. Soon enough thunders could be heard, illuminating the whole sky with their power. Due to the clouds and being night, darkness covered the whole village. The only light they had was that of a few fires created from the destruction and lightning bolts in the sky. 300 down. Naruto started as his eyes glowed once again. 1700 to go, Naruto said as he was surrounded by a silver aura. The aura started expanding and forming a shield around Naruto. It was the beginning stage of the Susanoo. A single rib-caged form stood around Naruto as it began to grow and grow. Soon the ribcage started growing out and getting covered by a small layer. What monster is he? A fearful shinobi asked as he looked towards the monster figure that surrounded Naruto. He was some kind of silver ethereal humanoid with black teeth. The humanoid's hands glowed and a weapon appeared in each of his hands. The Susanoo's hands glowed and chakra expanded outwards, forming some kind of sword. At the end of the sword it was a long curved blade. Those were sides, the weapon that Naruto's Susanoo decided to show. Some say that the Susanoo's weapons are the ones the user is truly meant to wield during his lifetime, but Naruto had a suspicion it had something to do with the deal he made with the Shinigami. After all, if Naruto wanted, any enemy slain by those swords would be sealed in the death god's stomach for all eternity. Flashback training trip, snake, boar, ram, rabbit, dog, rat, bird, horse, snake, clap hands. Shiki Fujin, Reaper, death seal, Naruto said as the air suddenly became colder. Jiraiya, Hinata and Gaara shivered when they felt the Shinigami's presence shimmer behind Naruto. Behind Naruto, a white spectral image formed almost instantly. The figure had purple-colored skin with large white robes. He had 2 red horns and 2 fangs with black teeth. He had long white spiky hair and on his mouth a large knife. On his hands he had a chain of red beads. "What did you summon me for, mortal?" The death god asked, annoyed. His voice was like ice. It seemed that yet again, another human had dared to summon him to his biting. "I have a proposition for you, Shinigami-sama," Naruto said, but the Shinigami didn't look pleased. "I don't deal with mortals. So if this is what you summoned me for, I'll take your soul," the Shinigami said and extended his arm towards Naruto's chest, who remained in place. Shinigami's hands grasped Naruto's soul tightly and pulled and pulled. Shinigami's eyes widened when he couldn't remove his soul. "I'm no ordinary mortal," Naruto said with his Rinnegan blazing, staring the death god in the face. "You dare defy me, human? I'll have your soul destroyed," the Shinigami roared, and Hinata, Jiraiya and Gaara just scrambled away from his fury. Jiraiya just watched how Naruto stood in front of death god himself, fearless. "You and I both know that destroying a soul is impossible. They are like the beaches. They are made of pure energy and that can't be destroyed, only sealed away, Naruto stated, much to the anger of the Shinigami. How about you hear my offer? Naruto asked, and the Shinigami unwillingly accepted. What can you offer me, mortal? The Shinigami asked, intrigued by this human. Even though he possessed the eyes of the gods, he should be able to remove his soul without even trying. A way to stop mortals from summoning you, Naruto said, and the Shinigami grew curious. Speak, the Shinigami said, and motioned for Naruto to go on. Currently there are 3 people alive that can summon you. In exchange for allowing me to take the single soul you possess and me alone the ability to summon you, I will make sure no one ever learns how to summon you, and I will destroy the Uzumaki clan's Death Reaper mask, Naruto stated. I see, the Shinigami replied in thought. This mortal did raise some good points. In a simple exchange of giving him the single soul he possessed, he could refrain from humans ever summoning him again, with the exception of this mortal. We have a deal. Once the mask is destroyed, summon me, and I will allow you to take the soul I have, the Shinigami, and Naruto smiled and bowed his head. However, betray me, and make sure your soul will never enter the pure world, the Shinigami said and left. Now to destroy this mask once and for all, Naruto said, and with a glance, the mask erupted in black flames until it was nothing more than ashes flying in the wind. And flashback. The Kirigakure army was looking at the monstrosity in front of them. With the silver color and those sides, every single shinobi felt as if they were staring at death himself that came down to judge them all. Every single shinobi felt a shiver crawl up their spine as Naruto's chakra spiked and he began his onslaught. Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu, Great Fireball Technique. Suiton Tsuryuden no Jutsu, Water Dragon. Suiton Daibakufu no Jutsu, Waterfall Vortex. The Kirigakure shinobi threw jutsu after jutsu at Naruto in an effort of stopping him, but they couldn't. There was no stopping his Susanoo, that was his ultimate defense and his greatest weapon. With a single stroke of his sides, the ground cracked and dozens of shinobi were blasted back and killed. From inside the Susanoo, Naruto felt the usage of demon chakra. He looked up to see Yagura in his version 2 cloak charging up. Bijudama, tailed beast ball, Yagura said, and sent a Bija-powered beast ball towards Naruto in an effort to vanquish him for good. Naruto smiled as the ball approached and swinged his scythe. With a single stroke, the tailed beast ball was split in half and detonated prematurely. The ball exploded just before it hit Naruto's Susanoo, causing further deaths in Yagura's army. So the turtle came out to play, Naruto said as he watched Yagura fully transform into his full beast. Yagura had completely transformed into his Biju, the Sanbai, and stood behind his army backing them up. Ready, Kurama? Naruto asked his own Biju, who smirked in return. Kuchios no Jutsu, Kyubi no Yoko, Summoning Technique, Nine-Tailed Demon Fox, Naruto said, slamming his hand on the ground. There was a large poof of smoke and a big shockwave that blasted most of the shinobi back. Once the smoke cleared, the Kyubi was standing there, his 9 tails swinging in all of their glory, with Naruto on top on his head. R-O-A-R-R-R-R. The Kyubi roared and the ground shook from the shockwave. His 9 tails were swinging wildly. Everyone in the village could feel the oppressive and powerful chakra oozing from the Kyubi. Standing in front of the Kirigakure army was the Kyubi, the most powerful of the 9 Biju. Suddenly the Kyubi laughed, a laugh that echoed through the village. A creepy, dark and disembodied laugh that breathed fear even into the strongest of men. We are all doomed, one shinobi said as he fell to his knees at the face of the enormous fox standing in front of them. Take care of the turtle while I finish up here, lead him away from the village, Naruto said, and Kurama nodded, jumping towards the Sanbai. ### with May and the others ###. NY, God, May stuttered, looking at the village. There were small fires everywhere, but what stood out was the towering 9-tailed fox in the middle of the village with Naruto standing on top of his head. If those two face off, there won't be a village left when they are done, May said as she looked towards the fox getting ready to jump at the turtle. Don't worry, Yellow said to appease her worries, Naruto would never destroy your village. If you watch closely you would see that the destruction is minimal, Yellow explained, but May frowned. What about those 2 Bijus? May asked. Look carefully, Yellow said, chuckling. May watched as the fox suddenly pounced on the turtle. Kurama picked the turtle by his tails and threw her away from the village. You see, Yellow said, and May sighed in relief that she would have a village when this was over. How can he be so powerful? It's insane. He's beyond Kage level, May stated as she watched as a single man took down 2,000 shinobi and defeated a Biju. I don't know, he just is, Yellow answered truthfully. ### with Toby ###. That is a problem, Toby said, looking at the Kyubi. If he can summon the Kyuubi to the outside and still be able to fight, then the standard duo team of the Akatsuki won't be enough to take him down, Toby mused in thought. And he has great control over his Susanoo, Toby stated looking at the ethereal warrior. Hashtag back to Naruto hashtag. Naruto watched as Kurama battled with the turtle. Even he had to admit that the Sanbai had one hard shell. The Sanbai took a Bijudama and came out slightly smoking. Naruto smirked as Kurama taunted the damn turtle every single time he could. I guess he didn't get off in a while, Naruto thought. You bet, it feels good to stretch my legs for real, Kurama replied through their mental link. Naruto chuckled and turned to end his job. There still were about 1,000 shinobi remaining. Naruto focused chakra into his eyes and another pair of arms grew on his Susanoo. Both Naruto and the 4 Susanoo's arms made 3 hand seals simultaneously. Ram plus snake plus bird. Tengai Shinsei, shattered heaven, Naruto said as the sky began to darken even more. A shroud of darkness covered the whole village and many shinobi looked up only to see a large meteorite block their view of the moon and sky. What the hell is this? One shinobi asked, dropping the sword and looking at the rock coming down from the sky. Is this really ninjutsu? Another asked as they all began to retreat away, trying to get clear of the blast radius. Bijudama, tailed beast ball, Naruto heard and looked to the left to see a big tailed beast ball heading towards the meteorite. The meteorite exploded into thousands of smaller stones that rained down on the village. You are a fool, Yagura, Naruto said before flashing through hand seals. Meteorite shower, Naruto said as he unleashed multiple fireballs that crashed into the falling stones. The stones became covered in flames as they lit the sky in what could only be described an inferno. These big balls of flames were crashing everywhere. The shinobi used water jutsu and rose earth shields, but to no avail. And to finish, Naruto said as he dropped his Susanoo and his eyes shifted to his Rinnegan. Naruto suddenly started levitating and flying high into the air. Naruto dodged a few meteorites that had yet to crash and rose high up air, almost touching the clouds. The sky sparkled as the thunders seemed to intensify, but Naruto seemed unaffected even though he was in the midst of it. Naruto's body sparkled with electricity and the thunders merged together to form a new big blue dragon. Naruto's whole body was covered in blue lightning as the dragon exited the clouds and circled Naruto. With a single movement of hand, the dragon stopped and Naruto dropped down on his head, still high in sky. Raitun Raiji no Ken, Fist of the Thunder God, 1, Naruto said and dragon roared. Naruto rode the dragon into the ground and, in flash of white and blue, it exploded with such force that the whole village shook. The ground was covered in blue dome of chakra sparkling. Even the Kyuubi and the Sanbai braced themselves so they didn't get blasted away with the shockwave. Once the smoke had cleared and the blue chakra disappeared, the only thing remaining in the middle of the crater was Naruto, completely fine and without a hair out of place. Naruto looked around and saw that the army was devastated. There were 2, maybe 300 survivors here and there. That is what you get for attacking in numbers. Usually numbers mean victory, but not when the enemy can use large-scale jutsus and wipe them out in a fraction of a second. Namake's Minato had done the same during the Third World War and now, Senju Naruto, had just started his own legend by decimating an army of 2,000. PP please, the shinobi said backing away and stumbling to the ground, falling on his butt. No more, we Yesu surrender, the shinobi said while the others did the same and bowed to Naruto in sign of defeat. Naruto didn't spare them a glance as he looked towards the Kyuubi and the Sanbai. There was only one target left, Yagura. Hashtag with Mei and the others hashtag. It's over, Blue said while Mei, Ao, Chojuro and her rebel army stared in shock. A single shinobi had decimated 2,000 trained shinobi in under a few minutes. Remind me to never piss him off, Ao muttered under his breath while Chojuro was on the ground drooling. Thank God we will be allied to the leaf, Mei thought with her eyes bulging out of her skull. He was truly a god. Just what kind monster did Namake's Minato and Uzumaki Kushina had? To think he conquered a village without even truly using his Rinnegan, Green thought as he looked at the devastation. There weren't many bodies left as the Amaterasu flames, coupled with the last Raitun Jutsu, disintegrated everything. Send word to the army. We are occupying the village, Yellow said, and Mei nodded, ordering her army to take control of the village. Naruto had been careful to only use those devastating jutsus on the main clearing of village, leaving the buildings mostly intact. Naruto could feel life force inside, and those were probably civilians, and, while he was pissed, he wouldn't target civilians who had nothing to do with this. Hashtag with Toby hashtag. Toby watched the outcome of the battle with a single bead of sweat rolling down his head. He should never allowed Naruto to grow this much, and now, he knew that he was going to be trouble. And a lot of it. And for someone who had a god under his belt, he felt a very human chill crawling up his spine. This won't end well, Toby thought as he warped away from the village and into his new hideout. Hashtag Naruto and Kyuubi vs Yagura and Sanbai hashtag. Naruto arrived to see Kurama and Sanbai face off. Kurama was faster and more agile than the Sanbai. Though on the other hand, the Sanbai was built as a tank, made to last and endure any type of an attack. If the tailed beast ball she took head on a few minutes ago was anything to go by, her shell was very strong and sturdy. Yagura, is that you in there? Naruto asked as the giant turtle in front of him as he jumped on top of Kurama's head. You will pay for this, you insolent brat, a pissed Yagura replied. He had just lost the war. This kid in front of him had decimated his army and conquered his city. If he couldn't win this war, he would at least take the brat with him. The Sanbai charged forward and coiled herself. The Sanbai started spinning and rolling all over the battlefield. Kurama dodged aside to avoid getting hit head-on and watched as the Sanbai changed paths and blurred towards him once again. Naruto sat down on the Kyuubi's head and started gathering natural energy while Kurama kept the Sanbai busy. A few minutes later, Naruto opened his eyes to show several red marks spread around his face. Naruto gained red pigment markings around and under his eyes, as well 2 concentric red circles in the middle of his forehead. His Manjikyu was still the blood red but was glowing unnaturally. These were the markings of a sage. Naruto extended his right arm and chakra started gathering on the palm of his hand. A familiar swirl was heard as a Rasengan was being born in his hand. The ball started taking a silvery color like his chakra and a deafening sound was starting to come out. Suddenly the Rasengan expanded, forming 4 large points around the central sphere, taking the appearance of a Fuma Shuriken. Futon Rasen Shuriken, Naruto said and hurled the new Rasengan towards Yagura. The sphere sliced through the air and before Yagura could react, the Rasengan hit the Sanbai right in the head. The Sanbai was pushed back and rose into the air. A towering dome, 50 feet in diameter, appeared around him as thousands of wind blades sliced through her shell like a hot knife through butter. When it was over, the Sanbai collapsed to the ground. Golden chains burst from the ground and ensnared the Sanbai's tails, paws, head and whole body, pinning her to the ground. The Sanbai squirmed under the chains, but it was no avail. Even Kurama had trouble with those chains. Rat, ox, dog, boar. Naruto went through the hand signs and clapped his hands together. He slammed his right hand on the ground and kanji started flowing out of it and going towards the Sanbai, forming a ring around him. 5-point demonic suppression seal, Naruto said, and the kanji started glowing. Yagura yelled in pain as his tenant's chakra was being forced back into the seal. This was the same seal Naruto had sued against the Uchibi during the Sand/Sound invasion. This seal works like the 5-pronged seal, but on a much larger scale. This seal suppresses the Biju's chakra, forcing it back into the seal. The Sanbai coiled itself in a large dome of water. In just a few seconds all the water disappeared and Yagura fell to the ground. Naruto jumped down from Kurama's head and approached Yagura, who was lying on the ground. Suetun Tsushuha, exploding water wave, Yagura shouted, and Naruto's eyes widened when a gigantic water wave rose from the ground. Yagura was panting at the top of the wave as he commanded her to crash into Naruto. Naruto used his Kamui and left the water hit the ground. Once the wave had calmed down, Naruto jumped on top of the water looking at Yagura. You are still alive, Naruto said, looking towards Yagura. He was slightly bent over, taking deep breaths. It's over, Yagura, your reign of tyranny and oppression has come to an end, Naruto said, closing the distance between them. Something is wrong, Naruto whispered to himself, observing Yagura intently. His chakra network was off, very off. His chakra seemed to be all over the place, like he had some genjutsu affecting him. Could it be? Naruto thought to himself as he approached Yagura and placed 2 fingers on his forehead. Kai, release, Naruto shouted as he infused some of his chakra into Yagura's network to disrupt and restart his chakra flow. Yagura blinked and noticed the blonde in front of him. Who are you? Yagura asked to Naruto, whose eyes widened. Oh shit, Naruto thought, since he was right. Suddenly his eyes became silver as his Rinnegan flared to life. Naruto placed a hand on top of his head. Human path, Naruto said and started reading Soul. Naruto was rummaging through his memories when a certain orange-masked individual appeared in them. Toby, Naruto thought angrily. It was all his fault. Toby had used the Sanbai as medium to manipulate Yagura. He was just another innocent in all of this. What, Yagura said, dropping to his knees and looking at his shaking hands. What have I done? Yagura asked himself, and Naruto knew that look all too well. Regret, and a lot of it. Naruto turned to Kurama when the ground suddenly shook. Naruto quickly turned back to Yagura to had a small smile on his face and a hand on his stomach. Time seemed to slow down as Yagura spoke. "Thank you for setting me free, take care of Kiri for me," Yagura said just before his body exploded and bright light rose to the skies. The light expanded and started reforming in the air. 3 trails suddenly sprouted from the energy. The energy started condensing, gaining a light blue tone and several spikes. The Sanbai was reforming. He took his own life by fully releasing the Sanbai, Naruto sadly thought. Tobi had wrecked yet another village and countless lives. And all for what? Can you blame him? Kurama rhetorically asked when he became aware of everything he had done. He couldn't live with it, Kurama said, and Naruto nodded looking at the Sanbai nearly finished reforming. I'll make sure he's remembered for who he truly was, Naruto thought to himself as the Sanbai landed on the ground. Naruto looked up as the Sanbai looked down. Suddenly and out of nowhere one of the Sanbais came down and crushed Naruto into the ground. I didn't think you would associate with humans, Kurama, the Sanbai said towards his brother. That wasn't very nice, Aisabu, Naruto said as he started levitating until he was at eye level with the Sanbai. Those eyes, Aisabu said in shock. This human had the Rinnegan, his father's eyes. You see, he's not an ordinary human, Kurama replied chuckling. Why did you try to kill me, Aisabu? Naruto asked curious. After all, Naruto was the cause of his release. I know all of you humans. You a bunch of power-hungry fools, and I didn't intend to be sealed again, Aisabu replied, and Naruto nodded. What if I told that I never intended to seal you? Naruto rhetorically asked towards a surprised Sanbai. In fact, I have a proposition for you, Naruto said. Really? Aisabu asked with caution as humans weren't to be trusted. What do you have in mind? Aisabu asked curious. Yagura's last wish was for me to take care of Kiri. I can't do that since I have Konoha to look out for. I want you to protect this village, but this time, instead of you being a weapon sealed inside some human, I want you to be a guardian. Naruto said towards the surprised Sanbai who looked interested and surprised by this human. This is your natural habit, Naruto said gesturing to all the water around the islands. I just want you to be free and while at it, defend this village. I promise that no one from this village will ever try and seal you again, Naruto explained and waited for Aisabu's answer. You amuse me, human, I shall accept your proposition. As long as this village and their shinobi don't disturb, I shall do my best to keep them safe, Aisabu replied, which made Naruto smile. That is all I ask, Aisabu, Naruto replied and turned to Kurama. You can stay and catch up. Tell him about the Akatsuki and such. I'll see you later, Naruto said and swirled away. Truly an interesting human, Aisabu said amused and turned to Kurama. Do you think he's the one? Aisabu asked. I have no doubt, Kurama replied with a smirk. Name, Raitan Raiji no Ken, Fist of the Thunder God. Rank, SS rank. Requirements, levitation, high affinity for lightning element. Class, offensive. Users, Senju Naruto. Hand seals, none. Description, by using the natural electricity of the sky, Naruto molds it to take the shape of a dragon, like the Kirin Jutsu. Instead of just sending the dragon from the sky and into the ground, Naruto floats high into the sky and rides the dragon into the ground. By riding the dragon, Naruto can power him up using his chakra. Final and most powerful form of this jutsu. Name, Petrifying Gaze S rank. Rank, S rank. Requirements, Manjikyu Sharingan. Class, offensive, supplementary, genjutsu. Users, uchiha now. Hand seals, none. Description, the Sharingan user locks eyes with the enemy to cast this powerful genjutsu. The Sharingan user freezes the enemy's chakra network, effectively paralyzing the opponent in place. The enemy is then completely exposed to any attack. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kaioshin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Ben Phillips.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.